It was not letting me stop that music. It wanted us all to be really, really happy. Okay.
Yes, clearly.
The best when things don't work right. I swear I do this as a living. Like I teach virtually, but this happens all the time. All right. Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Larisa Black, and I'm here with Matt Karabinos. Is that how you pronounce your name? I should have asked this to you before.
Yeah, it's fine. I've been called a lot of things in my life, so that one works.
Your
Carabinos
name
is
is
how it is
Mr.
said.
K all day, right? You're Mr. K all day on social
Yeah,
media.
Mr. K all day. Come find me.
So today we're going to talk about interactive AI learning and designing student-focused chatbots with SchoolAI. This is something that I recently did. I think we started, I found out about SchoolAI about November, and I've been using them ever since. And my students love it. I love it. Matt can also say the same thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a relatively newer AI tool that I've been using. I started really early on with ChatGPT, like right off the bat, although I was hesitant right at the beginning, probably like most people, because I thought Skynet was going to happen. So I was a little nervous right off the bat. But then I started seeing tools like Magic School and a bunch of other tools coming out. School AI was probably the last tool that I jumped on, but it is definitely the most intriguing, which is why I have kind of jumped in headfirst, full on to it. So
Definitely. It's wonderful. And so what we did, we introduced this with a chatbot. This is kind of how I use it as a bell ringer with my students. You can see the student side of things. And it's great at prior knowledge and trying to get the students to think about whatever the content is for the lesson today. But there's so many other ways to use it. But we just wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like from the student side and how you can chat with it. Um, Okay, it's deciding to just jump in there. That's fine. That's fine. Instead of, okay, I will use my arrows instead. All right, my name is Larisa Black. I'm a veteran teacher of 15 years, about 6 years in the classroom, and now about 7 years in virtual. I'm the founder of TeachWise AI, so I do a lot of trainings, just like Matt does on his social media as well. And I'm a virtual earth science teacher at South Carolina Connections Academy. That's my full-time job. I have my master's of science in science education. I'm passionate about tech tools, and I love photography. I do photography on the side. I've been a photographer for about 11 years now. All right, Matt, all you.
yep. So my name is Matt Karabinos. I am a sixth grade ELA and science teacher in central Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere, central Pennsylvania. I have literal farmers that are in my class. So that's how rural my school district is. So my journey with AI is a little bit different than most because my school district is very far behind technology wise, period. So this whole idea of a young, hip teacher like myself trying to push these AI things that are going to be the future is met with a lot of resistance. So my job out here has mainly been to spread awareness in my district, but also in my region. So that's kind of where my goals lie, is just trying to get the people in my area to recognize the massive potential, and all of the risks and everything that goes along with AI, but just to pay attention to it, because in my area no one's talking about it, and that scares me. So that's kind of my
Definitely.
goal. That's a little backstory for me. So
Yeah, and we need to be talking about it. So we're so happy that all of you are here. I was in Austin, Texas this week at the DLAC conference, and it was amazing to me how many teachers have not gotten any kind of training on AI. So we are happy that you are here to learn more, and we hope that we can provide you with um, some like a first step, right? This is getting kind of your feet wet in the AI technology. Um, we're going to go over this fact that when we say chatbot or space, we mean the same thing. So School AI, you can create chatbots on there, but we will also call them spaces. It's just, we'll use those interchangeably. We'll show you about the space options. We'll let you create your own space. So this is something you can take back to your classroom after today. We'll show you the teacher tools, and also we'll answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, so as we said before, chatbot essentially equals a space according to SchoolAI. The space is limited only by your prompting abilities. So having some pretty good background in prompting with like ChatGPT and stuff like that definitely comes in handy when creating spaces. It's not necessary, but it definitely comes in handy for keeping the chatbot or the space on task with your students, because as you all probably know, the number one thing that students want to do when AI is in front of them is ask random questions like mine, were all about asking Taylor Swift questions. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? That was a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, these spaces are very good at limiting the conversation to what you put in as the topic. But again, having that extra prompting skill, being able to say something like, no matter what my students say, please stay on topic about XYZ that you're teaching. Adding that in there would be a very easy way just to keep your kids on task and make sure that the chatbot is staying on task as well. So this is the website, schoolai.com. If you open up another tab, get this opened up, it is free. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that a AI that can do as much as this website can do is free. It has limited uses, but if you have a small class size like me, where I only have about a total of 36 kids in 6th grade, again, small rural district. But if you only have a total of like 30 kids, you can use multiple spaces per day on the free account. I'm never going to run out of uses with the free account. So please take a look over there now. You can sign up, with your school Google account or whatever that you want to sign up with. That way you can play with all the things that we're going to get you set up with later. And you kind of get to explore while we're talking about these things as well.
Okay, so what we want to do right now is set up. I'm sorry, Matt, is this yours? This is yours too. Sorry.
It's okay. We're just going with the flow here. So but yeah, so once you get on, you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot of things to click on, a lot of stuff, a lot of places to go. We wanted to kind of direct your attention first to the Discover tab. So at the top of the page, you'll see a Discover tab, and you want to click on that. And Discover is for you to find spaces that have already been created. So the legwork's been done. People who are better at prompting than me or you or Larisa have already set up a chatbot that is working for their students. So you can just go and use somebody else's space. If you scroll down from the Discover page, you'll see down at the bottom, you'll see a subjects section. I encourage any of you teachers in here just to find your subject, click and see if there's something that you can link to, talk about. I'm an ELA guy, so the literature section is very interesting because you can talk to authors, you can talk to books. They have chatbot spaces where you could talk to specific books. So maybe you'll find a book that you teach in your class. The science spaces, if there's already a lesson that you teach, like you can already find one that's already created for you. And there's a couple examples down there at the bottom, what they look like. AI is heavily built into SchoolAI. They can help you generate these images, make it look cool, and that's kind of one of the draws to it, is they make these things look really cool. So pick a space, any space, preferably one that's related to what you teach. Okay. And then once you click on that space, you're going to see this page here. And you are going to see a brief description of the space. And what's cool about this is before you set it out there for your students to use, you have the ability to preview this space. Okay. So if you click on that Start Preview button, it'll start chatting with you, and then you can start having a conversation back and forth. Now, you can try to do what I do and act like your age level students So typing in a lot of I don't knows, I don't remember, this is stupid, things like that, that your kids would try to mess around and type in. That's what I try to do all the time. And I try to trick the chatbot. Obviously, I said at the beginning, I have played around with prompting for quite a while. So I like to find ways to try to trick these things and make them, break essentially. So because I know my students are going to want to do the same thing.
Yeah, Stephanie, I just wanted to tell her, like, you do have to sign in to see this part of it.
Oh
So
yeah.
the sign in, you can sign in either with Google or Microsoft, or you can just use any email that you have. It is free. And then once you sign in, that's when you can actually do the implementing of the chatbots.
Yeah. And if you don't want to use it past today, you could just forget it and delete it. But but I I think after you see what it can do and the possibilities with it, I highly doubt you're going to want to throw this one away. So um after you've played around in the preview for a little bit and you say, okay, this is pretty interesting, this is cool, I can use this, you can click on the launch button. And what that will do is from your account, it will launch it to your, essentially your spaces, your account. And then it'll give you what's shown at the bottom. It'll pop up there with an invite link that you can put in your LMS section or, on Canvas or Google Classroom, wherever you need to put that. And it also comes with a QR code as well. Pavel, hand raise.
Hey guys, I first of all, I really love this tool. This is really cool. So I'm really happy I attended the session. So I'm trying to create like an AI chatbot that might help my students basically talk about a literary project. And it's a pretty advanced like thing. It's university level.
Right.
What I'm noticing is I'm running into a problem where it's continually doing Socratic questioning. So I copied and pasted one of my students' like response, and she had like a very detailed thing of how she wants to explore anti-Mexican violence connected to Munoz Martinez, like all these little details, right? And the question it responded was like, how are you planning to structure it? So I responded like, well, I don't know how to structure it. Can you give me some ideas? So I think the question I have to you guys is, have you noticed a pattern where it just continually does Socratic questioning? Or is it actually willing to provide you answers and handhold you a little bit more?
So that comes down to the prompting on the back end. So if you see a lot of these chatbots, especially the ones that are created here in the Discover section, a lot of them are designed to not do work for you and continually question you to guide you through your work, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you're trying to do. Like as you said, you don't really want it to do that. You want it to give more direct feedback. And that is absolutely 100% something that you can program in. Just to build on that for a quick second, I just did one in my classroom where I had a very specific goal in mind where my kids were researching a constellation in order to write an essay. And what I did was I had the outline of their paper and I literally plugged the outline of the paper into the prompt for the chatbot and said, this is all the information the students need to have. So prompt them what information they want and then give them that information about whatever constellation they have. Well, some of the students, it'd be like, I'm doing the constellation Orion, and it would be like, oh, here's a cool thing about Orion. And then it literally just gives them the facts, gives them the mythology, gives everything that I put in the outline, it gave the students. And I wanted to do that so that my students got used to having a chat with a chatbot, but also kind of learning how to use it for research and also forcing them to go back and check those things, on the internet and make sure that what it got from the chatbot were actually accurate. So you can absolutely prompt in those things. That's all on the back end from the teacher side, which you're going to see later when we let you guys create your own space. You'll be able to go, like I've written prompts that have gone the whole length. I've gone, 10,000 words or 1,000, whatever. I've gone to the limit. I've
You
plugged
can
in
do up
entire
to
stories. Yeah.
10,000 characters, I think it goes up to. So yeah,
Yeah.
like you can do it pretty far.
Yeah. So you can take it as far as you want. But to answer your question, most of these spaces, that's what they do, is the questioning to get students thinking. It's more of a critical thinking based thing. So
Thank you, guys.
yes.
Yeah, no problem. And you can also change a level. Like this is something you can use with kindergartners. If you give it the prompt saying, this is, my students are kindergartners, please, read at, or, type at kindergarten level versus college. So really, just like ChatGPT, it's all about the prompting.
Yes. Okay. I'll move on to the next slide.
Okay.
All right. So you've probably already been doing this while we talk, so we don't need to give you the whole 5 minutes. But during this time, if you find a space, play around with it. If you want to be a go-getter like Pavel and try to start creating your own space, you can try to do that too as he's going. But yeah, no, this tool has a lot of possibilities, a lot of capabilities. So to piggyback off of Pavel as well, I love the spaces on here that are all about helping students edit their writing, getting feedback for their writings. And again, on the back end, you can prompt in the type of feedback you want. You can plug in your own rubric and have the chatbot essentially give feedback to the student. The student can copy and paste their paper into the chat, and the chatbot will give feedback based on the rubric that you put in. There are like a plethora of tools and possibilities with this program. As you can see, she's scrolling down to the bottom of the page. There's a whole lot more underneath that subjects tab, but yeah. And one other interesting note is the creator space. So there are a handful of people that are, featured creators on here. And what I've started to actually do is try to find a person who teaches the subject matter that I do, who's already created a lot of spaces on here. For example, I was telling Larisa earlier, the one guy at the top, if you wouldn't mind scrolling up, Travis Mateer, I hope I'm saying his name right, but he teaches 4th grade, but I looked into his spaces that he created, and some of these are right up the alley of exactly what I'm doing in my classes. So it's really nice that someone has already created these things and I don't need to kind of go into the detail of the prompting. And of course, in the preview stage, I might find that, maybe I want to change up a couple things or I don't like it that much. And then but now I have a place to start. I have an idea of where to start. So looking at the creators, looking at the spaces that are already created, that is something that I highly recommend. And so I started following creators on SchoolAI just because, I want to be able to see their stuff because clearly they're teaching some of the same things that I am. So I want to find that stuff. So there you go.
Definitely. And you can also favorite some of them. Like you can favorite the chatbots, the spaces that you find under each of them. So that's another nice little addition. And they're constantly updating, upgrading, and it's at a point where I think you can create your own profile too. I mean, you can start doing that as well. But let's not get too far out of ourselves. Has everyone had a little bit of time now to discover at least some kind of space within their subject? It's been about 4 minutes. I just want to make sure we can move on. Good, good, awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I will go back here. And this is what we were discussing just a little earlier. The next level from, preset spaces is creating your own space. You have the ability to create a space that is going to be content specific, leveled to your specific students, all of that good stuff. So I will have you go ahead and go to create, that create option at the top instead of discover. And you're going to then press the blue create button that is under there. And it might be directly under, or it might be over to the right, depending on how your screen is set up. And I put down, look at your planner for next week, or look at whatever topic you want for using this chatbot with your students immediately. Create a title for the space and then fill in the topic or standard that you'll be covering with the students in the AI prompt area. So you are going to create your own title. It could be, for example, on here it says microbiology, and then you're going to describe the activity, agenda, or instructions for this space experience. Be as specific as you want to be, but honestly, the AI, you're going to also use AI to help you with the prompt. So it's going to make it sound even better. It is going to be more specific and more content related. So if you want, which I highly suggest, that you use that optional AI assistance, and you're going to click where it says generate all fields. When you click that generate all fields, it is going to create an image, cover image for you. So all those images that you saw on the spaces just a second ago, those were all created by AI. You are going to see it put in a subtitle, a teacher description, and also a student description. So teacher description is, whatever you wanted to do, thinking about it from a teacher's perspective. So this is something that if you share the space with other teachers, they will see this. The students don't see this part though. The students only see the student description when you send them that chatbot. So you can also, once it's created, edit the details. If you don't like what AI came up with, if you don't like what it said, or you just want to tweak it, you can certainly do that. That is one of the powerful things about it, is that it can still be edited. And even after you send it out, you can still edit it. Again, if you don't love what the students are putting, or the conversations, you want them to go deeper, you can go ahead and edit the prompt after you send it to students too, which is nice.
Yeah. So again, going back to Pavel there. So that's where, if you start to give this out to your students and you start to see, like, I don't like the fact that it's asking all these questions, you can go back in to the guidance. There's a space where you can go back in and you can edit it as it's going on, and it'll just create a new space with your new instructions added onto it. So you can just keep building it and adding onto it to get it totally refined to exactly what you want it to be.
Yes, and it will save. Like, this is not something that goes away after. It will save so that you can go back to it next year and share the same chat. You will stop the space for your students, so it's not continuing with the same data on the data end, but you'll see that in just a second. So go ahead, and before you decide to save and launch, a great way of making sure it works before you even send it to students is to click on that start preview, which is towards the right. Make sure it's working correctly. You're going to type in and have a conversation with it, just like your students would. You can make any changes you need to by editing the details at this point. And then once you're comfortable with it, you feel like it's working correctly the way you want it to, you can then launch it. So launch it into space, right? And you're going to share this code with the students. They can use a QR code, but there's also the link that you can share with students, whatever way it is. Whatever way is easiest for you to share with students. And I know it depends on, if you're in brick and mortars, if you're virtual, if your students are younger, if your students are older. Luckily, there's a lot of options here. Yes, act like your students, like Matt said. Make sure that you're acting like your students in there as well. And also, say, I want it to not be questioning students. I want it to help them with the research. Okay, so we're gonna give you guys about 10 minutes to play around with this. And what I would love for you to do is to not only create these spaces for your students, but share them on this Padlet. So this Padlet You will see that Matt and I have already shared a couple of different options. And I want everyone to be able to see what it looks like from the teacher's end, because one of the best parts of this creating the chatbots and everything is that you as a teacher get to see the conversations your student has with the chatbot. I always make sure, because I'm a middle school, high school teacher. I always make sure to let those students know I'm seeing everything that you are doing on the other side. And so that will prevent probably more inappropriate things, them knowing that you're watching, but also it will give you insights as to how the students are doing, which is one of the most fantastic things, is being able to see those insights. So go ahead and finish a space you're working on, share at least one or two of them to your to the Padlet. And if you have time, try at least two other spaces. You don't have to go and chat with it for very long, but just to give an idea for each teacher who creates one, what it looks like on the data end of things.
And this is a good time too, if anyone has any questions and you just want to unmute and just feel free to, you can, like, we're going to have space for more questions later, but as you're doing this, if you have questions, we'll be here.
Definitely. I'm going to try it for those right now.
Yeah, I just want to kind of bring up, I typed it in the comments, but it is programmed for Socratic questions. Like, I think it's awesome. Like, it's really cool that I know I can do that. So I don't feel like the students are going to be abusing it.
Right.
But like, I literally asked it in the prompt, like, tell me the themes of the project. That's it. And immediately the response was asking what themes the student plans to talk about. So it's like, even if you put it in a direct prompt, it's fine. It's still great. And I've noticed that if you respond to it and like, if the student asks it like, well, I don't know what themes do you feel overlap? It actually will give ideas that way, but it has to be like student driven questions.
Yes.
So if I say something like, what themes do you suggest? It's going to give me some examples.
I love the name too. Litbot. It's great.
Yeah, my class is lit.
I love that.
In so many ways, right?
I asked it, I front loaded it first. So the first thing I did was I typed in, like, I was looking at, this is this actual student's idea. So comparing Dracula with Frida Kahlo's philosophies, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, how do we make it work? Yes, but how is it like our philosophy? So I typed in like Dracula and Frida Kahlo, and then immediately the response it gave me is like, well, what themes do you think? And I responded, I don't know. Do you see a couple themes that you think overlap, like as a question to the chatbot? And it responded with about 3 of them. I think it was death, isolation, and something else. So
okay,
Very good.
So you basically have to be telling your students, like, keep on questioning it back, right? Keep on asking that chatbot questions to get more information rather than answering the chatbot.
yeah, it's like not a Google search. It's like a person that you're conversing with and talking with. It's really cool.
Yes.
I'm literally going to post on Google Classroom right now and see what happens.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That'll be great.
I love it. I love it. You'll get some good data there. Wonderful. So I'm going to jump over to our, I have it up in another place too. I'm going to jump over to the Padlet. Take your time, guys. I see that social studies being posted. Let me put this in. You can get it directly from, my keyboard is not working correctly. You can get it directly from the Canva. It's embedded in there, but sometimes it might just be easier to see it in a separate browser all on its own. I feel like we need some more music again.
Yeah, right.
But the problem is I won't be able to turn it off and we will just have to listen to it.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Sometimes silence is okay.
Yes.
Hey, Sophie, welcome.
Hey, Sophie. Oh my gosh,
got
we're so excited you're here.
She got to make it.
I did. I got the afternoon off. So
Wonderful.
yeah, I did
Wonderful.
30 minutes in Carly's, now 30 minutes in your guys's. So
Yes, I'm jumping into Carly's in the next one. I was like, I can't wait.
excellent,
Perfect.
excellent. Okay.
So if you just joined, we were having everybody go through and kind of take the time to create their spaces. Some of them for the first time create their spaces. Now, I know you played with this before, so you've probably already created many spaces on your own, but letting people explore the possibilities. And we came up with an interesting thing. I think, Larisa, this would be something to talk to, you know, some of the higher ups at SchoolAI. Like, is there a way to get around the Socratic questioning? Like, it is a good thing, but is there a way to make a more direct? Because I remember in the conversation that I had with some of the SchoolAI people that you can literally like type in a like a quiz, and then the chatbot will just like ask the quiz questions,
Yes.
and you know the kids will just answer the quiz questions.
Right.
But even with like Pavel's example, even with trying to get it to just be direct and tell you, it's still asking the questions right off the bat.
Yeah.
Which is okay, but to his point, I understand can be annoying sometimes when you want a more direct interface. So that might be something to think
I'm
about.
gonna ask them, like, how do we get around this Socratic questioning? It should work when you're prompting, but obviously that's not always the case. So,
Yeah.
you know, having the students ask it back could be a little helpful, but I understand that's being used in a different way at that college level, right? I love
Yeah,
it.
I'm like trying to do it. So it's an AP literature course, and you know, it's a university level course. So like I'm trying to get it to get kids to immediately brainstorm associations. And right now I'm kind of doing it one-on-one with students as I'm seeing their posts on Google Classroom. I'm typing some stuff in ChatGPT because like some of the things they're picking, I just don't know. You know, so like one of the kids is making associations to some pieces of Japanese literature. So I was trying to program the prompt to be like, okay, recommend 3 overlapping themes, recommend 3 associated texts, and recommend 3 philosophers that might be related to the topic. Just as a way of like you type into things like, you know, Frida Kahlo and Dracula, and then immediately like, okay, these are things that could possibly overlap. Again, brainstorming.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
that
want it to
is,
be like a thought partner, someone going back and forth.
Yeah. And like we can do it with ChatGPT, and I can do it individually with the students, and I can teach my kids. I mean, they're 12th grade, 17, 18, 19 years old, so it's
Yeah.
fine. I can teach them how to do that themselves. But like I'm also thinking like how can I adapt this to be like very targeted feedback? But if it's also just questions, I mean, that's still insanely good. That's still
Yes.
so cool.
Right. But it
yes,
is always
absolutely.
interesting to hear how different teachers want to use this. So it's good feedback. I will go back to the engineers at SchoolAI and see like how can we make it more specific? What is there a specific way to prompt it to allow for that brainstorming associations rather than Socratic questioning?
And
Yeah.
that might have to do as well with the type of space that you pick. So for example, when we were back in that Discover section, maybe choosing the sidekick option might change the output of the chatbot. Whereas I feel like when you create your own space, I think its default is what it seems like. Its default is, like you said, this Socratic questioning back and forth. You don't, and I think with a lot of us teachers, we have that hesitancy to let the AI do the work for the kids. So I think that was built into the underlying system of SchoolAI. Sophie, I'm going to steal this from you because you've said this before, but pretty much every single program that's out there has a base at the bottom of it that is either ChatGPT, Claude, now Gemini, Perplexity, any of those models. There is a base large language model that sits underneath all of that. And that is where all the information comes from. That's where all the words come from, essentially. What companies have done is they've taken we'll say a fancy like face or a body of a car. And so you have the engine as this large language model, and you build this amazing body of the car around it. ChatGPT is the body of the car. That is the tool that's built on top of. It's a layer on top of the large language model. So yeah, Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm still okay. But yeah, so all of these tools are built on top of the base large language model. So they're all pulling from the same places. It's just a matter of what do they do on top of them. So for example, like SchoolAI, we're going to talk later about their teacher tools that they have. All of those, all that is they built a specific prompt within ChatGPT, and they put a fancy face on it, and they put a button that you can click on so that you don't have to do all the prompting legwork. And so that's pretty much all of these companies. That's all they've done, is they've put a pretty face on the large language model that everybody is using. So that's essentially all that they're doing here, is they are taking it to a different level, making a chatbot that can respond and go back to you. So they have some parameters that are already built in before you even do your prompting. So that is probably why I'm going to guess, not being a SchoolAI higher up that has the insider information, I'm going to guess that that is why that questioning is built in like that. And it's more of an analysis tool rather than a brainstorming buddy or come up with ideas buddy. But I would try the sidekick. Try creating a sidekick version. I don't know if that would change.
It definitely could. And you make a good point that this all goes back to those language models, right? Because it feels less intimidating. You get into ChatGPT and you're like, I don't know what to even ask it, or I don't know, like, I want this. And then when I first started, I didn't know anything about prompting, and I just said, make a lesson about photosynthesis. And it came back with an awful lesson. And because I didn't give it all of the things that it needed to create a lesson specifically for my students. So this kind of does the guesswork for you, right?
Exactly.
All right. Are you guys good with us moving on? Do you feel like you've had enough time to try out other people's chatbots? So I don't want to go over our time. Well, we can't go over our time. So we got 20 minutes.
Yeah, we've got some people that jumped in there. I like it.
Okay, I will move on then.
Oh man, reaction and aqueous solutions. I'll be reading about that.
Chemistry right there. We got a chemistry person in here. I see that.
I'll be reading.
I will be trying that one later. So if you don't get a whole lot of teachers trying it right now, don't worry. We'll have some time to look at this Padlet later too. Yes, okay. I feel ya. All right, so this is where you can check the data. Once students have used this is what you're seeing on the teacher end of it. Okay, this is what makes it even more powerful than ChatGPT, because you are not going to see any conversations if you just use ChatGPT or have your students use ChatGPT, right? So teachers can check on individual student conversations by clicking on their name, and then highlights show to the right. So in this example, you can see like I had to block out all of my students' names, but you can see that there are insights here. The students did a great job with trying it out. They were super excited. Every time I introduce it, they're like, oh, we get to chat with the chatbot again. They're very happy about that. I think I should be able to pull up an example though of what you guys did at the beginning of this. Let me jump into, well, it should be right in here. So
Isn't it the uses?
here's the thing is I have multiple accounts. So let's get
Yeah, you have too much stuff going on.
Accounts. Yeah, this one is my school account. Uses. Oh no, wait, here it is. 195. I've got 195 people who have taken this course so far.
Nice.
It's not from just now. Okay, I've presented this to my school as well.
You're correct, Pavel. They do not need to put in a real name. I have my kids actually use initials, or they have a code for like their lunch to get lunch. I have them use their lunch codes. So just another added level of privacy and security. While we're on that, so I was informed that essentially how this model works is that they are the COPA and FERPA compliant, just like Magic School and most of the other programs that are educational AI tools are. Essentially what happens is when your kids have a chat, anything they put into that chat, there is a specific server that it goes to, and then it's stuck in that server until that server gets purged, essentially. It does not get mixed in with large language model training. So their data cannot be used. Anything they put in the chatbot cannot be used for training purposes of any other models or anything like that. And they told me they could essentially find out what server my school stuff is going to, but they cannot go from the server back to the kid. Like they have no way to trace from the server back to a certain place. So they can tell me where my kid's information is, but they can't tell me exactly which kid wrote which thing from within their server. So that's kind of how it was explained to me as to what happens with the kids' data that gets put in. Because a quick story on that, I created a chatbot that I thought was innocent for sixth graders. What's a challenge that you've faced and had to overcome? Because that's what we were about to read in our class was, a story about someone overcoming challenges. Well, I had a student who has a very, very difficult and tragic home life. And she literally treated this session as a therapy session. She opened up all of her thoughts of suicide, thoughts of cutting, and everything. I mean, it was everything. She literally spilled her guts. I believe at one point she actually asked the chatbot just to say that it loved her because no one ever said that to her. So like now I was like, OMG. Now I already knew that this girl had these issues. So I already knew that this might be something. So I actually programmed that into the prompt that some of these students have difficult backgrounds. They're going to be sharing some very deep personal thoughts. So make sure that you treat them with empathy and kindness and respect when you respond back to them. And the chatbot did an amazing job at doing that. Made her feel comfortable enough to keep sharing. But what's really cool and what she's getting into here with the data, on the back end of that chat, I had a big red flashing thing at the top of my screen that was like, this student needs urgent attention. This student needs urgent intervention, speak with a counselor, speak with school counselors, blah, blah, blah. All of that was already going on. So obviously I did share with my school counselor and everything, but I was very nervous because I said, this girl literally just spilled her whole life into this chatbot. Where the heck is that going? And so that's when, my fears were assuaged when I talked to the higher ups at SchoolAI, that it goes into a server and essentially just stays there until they decide to purge it. If you sign up, like as a school with them, you can set it up to purge every so many days and it'll just get rid of the data and it won't keep any of the data. So sorry, I took over a little bit there, but I felt like that was an important story to share because some of these students
Very important.
do not really have anyone to talk to. So when you give them a chance to talk to even a robot or an AI, they're going to take it. So that's,
Right. And I know I'm like sharing my screen right now and it's storming where I am. So my internet's kind of like a little wonky. So that's why it's taking so long for everything to download. But you can see, finally, it came up, the insights over here at the right hand side. You can see, hey, Andrew, whoever Andrew is, you seem to be off topic. Let's go back and be on topic. Let's redirect. And then different concerns, enthusiasm, all of these insights. But if you want to know more about what the actual chat looks like, of course, again, my internet's slow, so you would normally click on the student and it will bring up on the right hand side the entire conversation. If you decide at one point you want to end, like you want your students back looking at you in the classroom or whatever, you can end the chat for everyone or pause it for everyone, and they will no longer be able to connect with that specific chatbot. You can always reopen it though if you want to. Let's see here. So Matt, this is all you, teacher tools.
All right, teacher tools. So Sophie's already familiar with these. A lot of us are familiar with these because maybe you've seen me or Sophie on TikTok or Larisa sharing these teacher tools with everybody, because that's what we're all about. And so SchoolAI has built into their program their own version of teacher tools. So very similar to Magic School AI, EduAid. There are teacher tools built in to this system. And again, the reason why this is so easy for companies to do is because all they're doing is throwing prompts on top of the original large language model. So essentially, it's taking the legwork out of you learning how to become a prompt engineer or prompt expert. If you've already done that, then you're ahead of the game and you are going to be way better off in the future. So to any of you that are not prompt experts, I would do as much research as possible into learning how to prompt properly and accurately to get the best responses out of AI. Because even in these situations where you have something built on top of it, that prompting skill comes in handy. But you can see from here, the one I use the most is the worksheet or the multiple choice quiz. Because I don't know if any other teachers out there are as disorganized as me, but I constantly get into lessons and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to make a quiz. I forgot to do that because I had a kid come in the room and just tell me a crazy story, and that took up 10 minutes of my time that I was supposed to use to make a quiz. Well, crap, what do I do now? Well, here comes AI to the rescue. Hey, I need a 10-question multiple choice quiz on, what are we learning right now? Pronoun and antecedent agreement. Riveting stuff that we're learning there in 6th grade. Yeah. Yeah, my kids have to learn a word like antecedent. So yeah, that's fun stuff. Sophie, your quizzical look, antecedent is the word that comes before the pronoun that the pronoun refers back to. So there you go.
Sophie, you were not the only one who did not know that.
No, I know.
We don't
I
teach that
guarantee
in Canada.
I feel like that's got to be an American thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely an American thing. So, so there is like, I encourage people to go play around with these tools because they're like, they come in handy in a pinch. Oh crap, I forgot to do this. Oh darn, I forgot to do that. Really quick. This is the thing that fascinated me with teacher tools. One of the most widely used reasons for AI was responding to emails. That kind of blew my mind that one of the top uses of AI is responding to emails and making your tone and voice and everything sound better. So all of these things, like pretty much every single one of the teacher tool generators has a email responder built into it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are
So
very broad. And,
yes,
I would have to say, like with the emails, I understand wanting to sound more professional and everything too, but let's say you get an email from a parent and it gets you a little emotional, like you're a little annoyed or like upset by that email. Do not automatically email back and right? Like usually we wait a while. I've been teaching for 15 years, so I know I have to sit back on that. But now what you can do is put it into one of these AI tools, the email thing or ChatGPT, and say, make this not emotional. Like make this so that it does not come across as being angry or annoyed or whatever. And I feel like just that alone will allow you to have less paperwork in general, right?
and then finally, this one is the one where a lot of teachers are going to find use. They used to just have the single co-teacher, which was like, hey, ask me pretty much any questions. I'm your co-teacher. I'm your teaching assistant. So you can literally imagine having a paraprofessional at your side all day long. And even better, a co-teacher, just someone who's on your level, your education level, your subject, your grade level, right by your side. These are literal chats. So if you've ever used ChatGPT or Claude or any of those programs, that's what this teaching assistant section is. These are specific chatbots for you, the teacher. So you've been doing all of this work creating the chatbots for your students. Well, these ones are for you. So these ones are helping you come up with ideas, working with the Common Core, curriculum ideas. That one is one I use a lot because my district is in the process of redoing their curriculum, for the 900th time, because we need to do that 800 times, a year. So, using the curriculum coach, it gives you a leg up. I joked with all of my co-teachers in my school that my curriculum was done in an hour using ChatGPT, and it had everything I needed in it. And they were like, there's no way. And I said, here, look at it. It was like a 30-page document. And I said, yep, here you go. It's done. All done. And they're like, can you show me how to do that? I was like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
How do we do this again?
Yeah, exactly. So these tools, that's what these are for. These are your assistants. These will help you with questions. If you want to come up with ideas, that's what these teaching assistants are for.
Right, so we are close to the end of our time. Oops, didn't mean to click through that fast. So as Matt had said earlier, we are both on social media. You can find us at these links, and you can find those links directly in this presentation. So we linked it directly. I'm on a bunch of different stuff, but what I will have to say I do is mainly I create on TikTok because it's the easiest platform to create videos on, and then I copy and paste them over to the other things. So like, if you're following me on TikTok, you don't have to follow me on Instagram and Facebook too. You're gonna get the same information.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, I will sometimes share less of my personality and more just professional stuff, but similar things will be up there as well.
And so I have all the same stuff too. LinkedIn is a major resource. So if you guys are not on LinkedIn, you should totally update your LinkedIn and just get back on it, because it's a great way to make connections with people. The other one I included on there at the bottom, that little M that probably a lot of people don't know, that is Mighty Networks. And that will link you to a group that I became a part of probably about 5 or 6 months ago called the AI Salon. And it is a group of people from all backgrounds that are curious about AI and learning what AI can do in all fields, in law, in art, in business, all fields. But within the Mighty Networks, myself and another teacher named Stacy, we have started an education group that is specifically geared towards AI and education. And we have bi-weekly discussions on trying to figure out how do we navigate policy, because a lot of schools are still far behind on policy. If only we could catch up to, other countries like Australia, so with that, but that is the thing. In this AI salon, I have a teacher from Australia who is part of the group. And so being able to talk to that person who's, on the forefront of making policy is like a huge, a big deal for me. So that is a really cool group of people. I highly recommend you jump in if you have any level of curiosity about AI. There are some really, really creative people on there that can do magical things with Midjourney and DALL-E. They are absolutely stunning and incredible. So it's a really fun group. And then one more shameless final plug. This is for my buddy on TikTok. His name's Kyle Shannon. He is the AI Learning Lab on TikTok.
Yeah,
he goes
great.
live.
Everyone should follow him. Everyone should follow him.
He goes live 7 nights a week on TikTok, and all he does is play with AI and show people how to use it. And he's an incredibly entertaining guy, so he makes it very easy to understand. That's why I linked onto him, because he's very much like a teacher, and I love that. But it is a great place for people who are curious about AI, what AI can do. He has been in tech for like 30 years, so he has been part of the internet boom and everything. So he has a very unique position. So I highly recommend people check him out on TikTok.
Definitely give him a check out. I know we've got like 3 minutes left, so if you'd like to ask questions in the chat, feel free. We would also love some feedback. So if you wouldn't mind using QR code, or if you're in the presentation, the link is embedded, so you could just click on the slide and it'll take you to the specific survey. So any questions within the next 2 minutes before we have to leave? Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so glad. I wasn't sure if we were going to get through all of it, so we did it. Yeah.
We made it.